Hey, pre-algebra, last week we talked about multiplying integers, which are, positive or negative numbers. And here I am, I'm going to take another shot at explaining what's happening with those negatives before we jump into finding quotients of integers. So here's what's going on. This is kind of written in a funky way, but it's written because they want to use this idea right here in this little visual to explain what's going on, okay? So normally how I would write this would be like just 3 dot negative 2 or 3 parentheses negative 2 or 3. I'm going to write it all of the possible ways that I guess you could see it. I think you'll notice today as we do an amplify lesson that the asterisk is another way of writing multiplication, but we only really use that on a computer because a dot is like 1,000 times faster, right? So anyway, you'll notice they put this positive here. We don't put the positive there, right? We just don't do that because it is positive, right? So here's what they're doing. They're saying, all right, if I have positive 3, that's like saying, you know what, I'm about to add 3 groups, okay? Because it's positive, I'm going to give or add 3 groups, donate. But then what's going to be in those 3 groups? It's going to be 3 groups of negative 2, okay? So here's kind of the idea is that this is one group, this is one group, this is one group. We have 1, 2, 3 groups. Negative 1, negative 2, negative 1, negative 2, negative 1, negative 2. There are 2 in each. Negative 2, negative 2, and negative 2. So the idea is that 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. Because look, you can count that up and say, oh yeah, there are definitely 6 negative little counters there. And if you want to, I obviously go back to talking about money or talking about the emotional damage of like, okay, hey, what if I was about to give you 3 baskets? Those are baskets, I promise. Like that's the handle, right? Okay, here's 3 baskets, and in each basket, there's an insult, 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 there's an insult. How many insults am I about to hand over to you? 6 of them, right? That is, we have 6 insults in the end. Okay, maybe this is helping you to kind of like solidify like, oh, okay, positive, negative, that's why it's negative. B, negative 2. Okay, this is like saying, all right, now I'm going to remove 2 groups. Removing 2 groups is what this part means, okay? And how much am I going to be removing? In each, I'm going to be removing negative 2 in each. So they've got 2 pictures here, and what I want to focus on is this bottom section right here. Because I look at this as like, hey, here's one group, here's another group, and inside of each of those are 2 negatives. So when I remove 2 negatives, that would be like adding positive 4, okay? And again, if you're like, that's confusing, remember the insults. So if you have 2 baskets of insults, now there are 2 little houses, you got 2 baskets of insults. If I get rid of them, that is making you feel happier, right? It's making you feel positive 4. I think this one right here is just like, that's just like 2 times 2. That would just be 4. So anyway, and then let's look at this last one. Negative 2 times positive 3. I'm going to remove 2 groups of 3. Okay, so yeah, now here it is that they have 2 groups of 3. And if I were to remove them, if I get rid of 6 positives, that would have to be negative 6, right? So now you're already feeling happy because you have 2 groups and you have 3 complements each inside of them. And if someone comes along and gets rid of those, that's like giving you -6 right away. It would eliminate those, right? So what I want you to do is, at this time, pause and go do the amplify lesson. The amplify lesson is going to be strictly on multiplying. Okay,